do that. Give me a second. I can't like ad lib and do a song and dance.
You can.
As long as you're on the microphone.
See the new niece yet?
Yes.
You're so far down on the ladder now, so you're still never see the
We ready, Don? Ready. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for coming to this Sunday School Hour, or 45 minutes. We got a very special person here with us today, Michael Burns, who grew up here and was an integral part of our youth work camp here, and he's gone on to bigger and better things. And we welcome him, and he's going to be presenting some information on the mission that he's involved with. He and his wife Sydney are involved in, as you can see on the screen. I talked to Michael. He said he could talk for 3 hours. He won't be, but he said he could. So we'll do it for about 45 minutes or so. We are streaming. I'm sure if anybody has any questions at the end, he'll be glad to do that as well. So with no further ado from me, come on up, Michael.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Dwayne told me I had to stand up here because we're streaming, but I wanted to be down there, but that's okay. So, good morning, everybody. As he said, my name is Michael Burns. I'm pretty sure I know almost everybody here, but in case you didn't know, I did grow up here. My parents are Don and Sheila Burns, and I'm glad to be back and talk to you about the organization that I've been really involved in for about 7 years now, since 2016, and my wife's been a part of for 1 year longer, because she's the one who convinced me to go down. So, as he said, my love for mission work did start here with the work camp program, and I'm really excited to be back and talking to you guys about a very cool opportunity that I've been able to be a part of. So our organization is called the Village Mountain Mission. And before I get too much into what we are and what we do, I want you to do something for me. I want you to close your eyes and visualize your happy place. For some of you, it might be the beach, or a cabin in the woods, or reading a book at home, or, I mean, I'm from Fairfield County, so mine was the county fair for a very long time. All right, you can open your eyes again. This is some pictures of my happy place. It's down in the Dominican Republic. And this is a very, very special place. The people down there are incredible. They are just the happiest people. They just love each other, and they love God, and I feel like they have a better grasp on what it is to be a Christian than a lot of Americans do, and it's very cool to go down there and see. Some pictures there. The one in the top left corner for you guys, sorry. That is my wife, Sydney, and one of the people that helps us a lot, his name is Roberto. The second picture, or the one in the middle on the top, is a picture of Sydney and I and the very first family that I ever built for. We've been able to go back every year since and see them and see their kids grow up and see how the house has affected their lives, and it's been really incredible to see. And then the next picture is a group of Dominicans that we are close with, and the school that we were running pre-COVID, unfortunately. And then we have the chocolate factory, Sydney and I again at one of the houses, and a friend of ours from down there, a beautiful sunset, and a crew that's working very hard on laying the foundation for a house. So I just wanted to give you guys kind of a visual of laying the groundwork, I guess. So what is the Village Mountain Mission? We do a couple of different things. We are starting back up after COVID. because we had to shut down all in-country operations for the last 3 years, basically. So we are working on getting everything started back up, but I'm gonna give you an overview of what we did pre-COVID so you have an idea of where we're going. So the part of the mission that we are most involved with is the construction part of the mission. And what we do is we go through the communities down there and we talk with people in the communities to see where the real need is for houses. And we usually build for families with kids that are not going to be moving anytime soon. They own the land, things like that. And usually the houses that we're tearing down are basically like sticks with palm leaves on top of them. And we actually had one house that we tore down that we literally just pushed it and it fell over. It was crazy. I can't even believe that it was still standing, honestly, from the wind and stuff that they have going through there. But somehow he had managed to keep it upright, but we were able to tear it down and give him a more stable house. And the houses that we build are half concrete block and half wood frame with a zinc roof. They're all materials sourced from the area, so if they have any issues with anything or if they need to do, I guess, renovations later on down the road, it's all stuff that can be easily replaced for them. So the next part of the mission is the medical part of the mission. So we have a doctor on our board of directors and a nurse who, she lived down there for about 2 years, and they have set up a situation where they go into communities and they do clinics and stuff like that. Obviously, I am not an expert on the medical part of the mission, but so they go into the communities, they do clinics on whatever that community needs. They've done dental, they've done physical therapy for people who had injuries, they've done minor surgeries. There's a very high rate of diabetes down there, so they do go in and they monitor blood pressure and things like that a lot. And then they also, they pick people who in the community who are interested in the medical part of the mission and from those communities, and they train them to do those basic things like take blood pressure and keep track of stuff like that for us, so that we don't have to be in country all the time, but they're still able to keep track of their patients, which is very cool in my opinion. And then we also were running a preschool down there for, I think they had it for about 5 years. Unfortunately, we did have to have somebody down there at all times to run the preschool, and we did hire out some other positions at the preschool to locals to kind of try and provide jobs as well. But we had at least one American running the preschool just to make sure that everything was running the way that we wanted it to. And so we taught them basic things, just letters, numbers, shapes, basic Spanish, basic English, just to give them an edge, because knowing English down there, although it is not the native language, obviously, it is very useful. You can go into the cities and be a translator. You have many opportunities. We've even had people come to the United States mainly because they knew English and they were able to get a job here. Without that, they wouldn't have been comfortable doing that by any means. So that's a basic overview of what we do. So this is a map of the Dominican. This is the full map of the country of the Dominican. It is an island and it has 2 countries on the island. This is the Dominican, and then on this side there's a big mountain range right here, and then this side is Haiti. So I don't know how much you guys have heard, but I know there's a lot of negative talk about Haiti. We are not close to them. We don't have any issues with it, just so you know. So that's not the one. We are located on the northern side of the island. This is Luperon. This is a town that we go into a lot when we go to get food every once in a while. Like there's a couple days where we go into town talk to locals, and we go and hang out and get souvenirs and stuff. So, and that's where we go, is in Lubron. And we end up, we fly into Santiago, which is right here. Sorry, my hands are a little shaky. And then our property is located in between, about right there. So we are close to the coast, about an hour's drive, which is very cool because we're able to take people to the beach one of the days, which I'll get into a little bit later. But we are only about 2 hours away from the closest big airport, which is very cool because we don't have to drive for 6 hours after we get there because everyone's already tired. You've already been flying for 12 hours. So, and then next. So the trips that we do, obviously, I'm going to go into the construction part of the mission because that's what I'm familiar with, and that's what we are starting to build the mission back up with, is the construction part of the mission, because that seems to be where the need is, and the medical part of the mission is a little harder to start back up because we have to get inventory of medications and equipment and stuff like that. So the construction trips are 8 days, travel to travel. So the first day, we basically, the whole day is travel. Sometimes we can get an early flight out of Columbus or Pittsburgh, and we can get there by like 3 or 4, which is a good day because then you have a little bit of time to relax and get your bearings a little bit, set everything up while it's still light out, which is nice because there's not a lot of lights on the property, but we do bring flashlights, so it's not that bad. And then the second and third day are work days. So we'll start off the day with breakfast. We do prayer before we leave. Everyone applies sunscreen and bug spray as much as you possibly can because it's very hot down there, and there's not that many bugs, but most people don't like it either way. So then we go, we work for about, I would say, 8 hours with the lunch break in there. And most people take a lot of breaks on the first couple of days because it is hot and you're not used to the climate and stuff like that. And we make sure to keep an eye on people. So it's not that bad, but if you try too hard, you can overheat a little bit, which I have done on probably my first 3 trips because I was trying to be a big, strong guy and get all excited. So I have since stopped doing that, humbled myself a little bit and taken a look in the mirror. But so our first and second days, like I said, are work days. And then we have our first off day. And the next slide, I think, goes into what we do on our off days, so I'm going to skip over those for a second. And then we do 2 more work days, and then another off day, and then your last day is, again, travel back. So what we do on the job site, our houses, like I said, are half concrete block with a concrete footer around, and then wood frame with a zinc roof. So usually it takes 2 crews to build a full house. The first crew will focus on digging the footer. Well, first they demo whatever's there, if there is a house in the spot that we're building. And then we'll dig the footer, pour the concrete, lay the block, and usually that's about as far as we get, just because concrete it's hard work. It just takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. Everything's heavy, but it's very satisfying work because you can literally, you're seeing from the ground up how the house is being built. And no prior experience is needed to do any of this work. We are gonna have people down there who know how to do all these things. And I basically had no construction experience the first time I went down there. I had swung a hammer. I mean, I grew up on a small family farm, but that's about it. And now I'm a contractor. I don't know if there's correlation there, but it is there, so. But the concrete part isn't the same as it is here. Here, when you need to do some concrete work, you call the truck, they bring it in, they dump the concrete out, it's already pre-mixed, everything's good to go. Down there, we get bags of concrete, which we can get here too, but we don't have electricity on our job sites, so we usually get a piece of plywood and a shovel, and we're mixing the concrete with the shovel and pouring water on it. We do have Dominicans down there who are more familiar with the process and what their concrete mixtures are supposed to look like when they're ready to be put in. So we do have some help on that, which is good for me because I'm not a concrete guy, but that's all right. And then the second part of the house is wood frame, like I said, and so we just build, it's 4 walls. The house is usually 20 by 28, so it's not big. Usually most barns up here are bigger than the houses that we're building, but it's still very nice for them, but not too nice where someone's gonna come in and steal their property, basically. So we just give them 4 walls. We build the windows are just shutters, which we build out of wood, and they have little locks on them so they can lock up their house. Same thing with the doors. They are just, I think they're 1x6s put together and nailed through with a couple of boards on the back, and they get a lock on that too. And I think there's a front and a back door and 4 windows. And then we do rafter systems, and then the zinc roofs hold up pretty well down there, and then we usually put a PVC pipe that is cut down the side as a gutter on the roof panels. That way they can collect the rainwater and use it for whatever they need to. It's generally a little cleaner than the rivers that are around there because everyone bathes in the rivers. They take their animals down there to drink and stuff, so they don't usually use that water, and some of the people can't afford like the purified water that comes in the big 5-gallon blue jugs. So the rainwater helps with that. They can use it for laundry, things like that. So next we're gonna go into the off days. Oh, I missed a slide, sorry. Yeah, the 4 days total construction, which we just talked about. So you can go to the next one. On our off days, the first day is usually a trip to a chocolate factory that's local down there. It's run by local women who started it, which is kind of unheard of down there. It's a very male-dominated society, and the female-run business is almost non-existent as far as I can tell. I haven't really seen any except for small kitchens alongside the road. But this chocolate factory is a bigger production. They're exporting to the US now. It's very cool. They take us through and they show us the whole process. We get to do certain things. I didn't know if there was a picture up there, but there's a picture somewhere of Sydney, and she's got the hairnet on and she's making chocolate and stuff. It's pretty cool. And then you get samples at the end. You get to try all the different products. It's very cool. Just to be able to immerse in the culture too, because obviously our main goal down there is not to be God for these people, but to build a relationship. So when we go down, we build them a house, yes, but it's also important to talk to the families and get immersed in the culture and learn about it and stuff like that, and that's where the real experience comes in. Because building a house isn't gonna change anybody. It might make their life easier, but building a relationship and a friendship is more important to them a lot of times too, and definitely more important to us. So after we go to the chocolate factory in the morning, we go to Luperon, which I pointed out earlier, and there's some cool little shops and stuff, the souvenirs, and there's some cool local restaurants and stuff like that. It's just it's significantly smaller than even Lancaster, but it's a big town for down there, and it's cool to go in and just see how the city life works, because our property is very, very rural. Our driveway is about a mile long, so it takes a while to get in back there. And then the bottom picture right here is a picture of the beach that we go to. It's actually an abandoned resort. The resort itself has armed guards. They don't let anybody in, but the beach is taken care of by the locals. So it's very away from everything. It's not a touristy beach, but it's still very pretty and very nice, and it's cool to experience that part of it too. And the water is unbelievably blue. Like that little stone peninsula there is probably a football field long, and you can still see the bottom at the end of that. It's crazy, and it's pretty deep at that point, but It's very cool. So, and then the second off day, which is our last day there, in the morning we go to it's called the Dama Aguas, which is, I'm pretty sure it's just Spanish for waterfalls, but it sounds cooler when you say it like that. And so when you go to the waterfalls, we do about an hour and a half. It's like a hike basically, but it's not steep or anything like that. It's just a walk through the woods. And then we get to the top. There's actually 28 waterfalls in sequence. We only do 7 of them because it takes literally an entire day to do all 28 of them, and it's more expensive. But the 7 are still very, very cool, and you get to go to the waterfalls, you jump off of them, you slide down some of them. There's a couple that have platforms because they're a little sketchy on the top of them, so they will build the platform so you can jump off of those, and then you swim to the next one. It's very, very cool. It was one of my favorite parts of my first trip, just because it's something unique to the country and an experience that you can't really get, at least around here. And then in the afternoon, we come back to, I believe we come back to our property, have lunch there, and then we go into the community that we're building in, and we do a carnival. So nothing special, just, we bring in coloring books, notebooks, pens, pencils, crayons, soccer balls, volleyballs. We usually do like balloon animals and stuff, and all of the kids from the community come in, and we hang out with them, we talk with them as best we can. Obviously not all, most of us actually do not speak fluent Spanish. I am getting there, but I'm still not fluent by any means. And then it's cool because some of the parents come in too, and we get to talk with them, and the kids just enjoy interacting with us, and it's, again, more about building the relationships with them in that time, and that's very important to us as well. That's why we take a whole day or a whole afternoon to do that instead of just doing 6 straight work days. So next we have the property. So like I said, our property is out in the middle of nowhere. I like it because I'm from Baltimore. I like being in the middle of nowhere. So we are surrounded by farmland, and we're kind of up on a hill. So we have very good visibility all around us. And our property consists of 2 shelter houses, which is where we stay. And this picture right here is a picture of our shelter house. So I don't know how well you can see, it's a little small there, but these concrete pillars have posts running horizontally between them, and we hook hammocks up to those, and that's what we sleep in, is hammocks and bug nets around the hammocks, which sounds not as comfortable, but after an 8-hour workday in 110-degree heat, it's very inviting. I promise you that. And so we all stay in the same shelter house, usually when we do a crew. That way everybody's with family members, friends, because that's who usually comes down together. And it gives them time, if we have like half a crew from one place and half a crew from another place, it gives them time to mingle and talk with each other and make some new friends from the States as well. It's not pictured here, but right here on the shelter house, there is a shower. We do have running water for showers, which is awesome. We do not bathe in the river, although there is a river close by, and it's very nice to go and jump in and swim around in the evening as well. But our showers are rainwater. We collect rainwater as well. And then we do have a well there in case it hasn't rained in a while, which it usually doesn't rain for about 3 months in the summer. So our well is able to pump enough water up for all the crews to take showers and everything. We just have them turn on the water, then turn it off, soap up, and then turn on the water to rinse off again and turn it off again. It's a little weird at first, but you get used to it. So, and then we do not have indoor plumbing for toilets. We do have outhouses, which again, you get used to it, it's not too bad. But I did want to mention it in case. So, and then, so this picture is the view from the hillside that we usually do like a campfire one night, and that's the view from it. It's incredible. I could just stand up there and look out for hours. It's cool. There's a river going through there. There's animals down there. We actually have sheep on the property right now, which is cool. And our property manager, who is a local Dominican, he's there taking care of the property at all times for us. And he takes care of the sheep, and so he has a bunch of babies right now, and he lets them all out during the day, and they just roam the property, and then he calls them all in, and they all run. It's really funny to watch, because they come from all corners of the property, and they just run in all at the same time. It's really funny. So this picture is of our kitchen. The blue right here is our water. We do buy the purified water. That way we're not drinking the water that's down there, because there could be contaminants, obviously, and we don't want to have any issues with that. The shower water is pretty clean. If you get some in your mouth, you're not probably gonna get sick, but we don't recommend drinking it, obviously. So just in case, you know. The kitchen, this is kind of where we hang out in the evenings. We play cards, we play dominoes. We have Dominican friends that taught me how to play dominoes, and I'm horrible at it, and they're very, very competitive. Like, it's crazy. And I was really bad, and they were talking trash to me, and I was like, I don't even know what you're saying, so it's fine, whatever you want to do. And then the kitchen that's actually there, we hire local women to come in, and they cook us 2 meals a day, breakfast and dinner, which is cool because we get a taste of the local food as well. It's mostly, we don't have them cook us anything that's too, weird for our American palate, but it's a lot of chicken and rice and beans and stuff like that. Plantains, cheese is very big down there. Dairy is their biggest industry. So cheese and yogurt are very big down there. So one morning we usually do like frosted flake type thing, and then they actually eat it with yogurt because it doesn't have to be refrigerated. It's weird at first, but I actually like it better than frosted flakes with milk, personally. The yogurt's very sweet, just like everything down there. They put a lot of sugar in everything, so that's probably why they have a high amount of diabetes, but nobody asked my opinion, so I don't get it. So, and then this picture right here is from the inside of the kitchen area, and every crew that goes down there, we like them to make their mark on our property. So every crew gets a group of blocks from the shelter that's there. I know this one with the palm trees right here is Liberty Union crew that went down a couple years ago, which I don't even know who did it, but I think it's done in nail polish because that's all they had. And whoever did it was, there's some incredible artists, and then there's some that look like I did it, so. And we're actually running out of room now, so they started using the concrete pillars, and they do one that wraps around. It's very cool, and you get to go through, and I know like on the trips that I went down on, there was something that kind of defined our trip. Like one year we were doing the bottom half of a house and moving concrete, but we couldn't mix the concrete right next to the property. So we would mix them, then we have these little rubber buckets, and we made like a line. And I don't know if you have ever seen Fantasia, the Disney movie, but how they all like pass things from one person to the other, and that's kind of what it looked like while we were passing concrete buckets. And so that's what we called our crew, was the Fantasia crew. And so we did a whole picture from the movie, and they painted it. It was very cool. And that means something to us, doesn't mean a lot to everybody else, but when we go back down there, we can look at that and reminisce and remember how much fun we had with our peers and with the people that we're building for. And that's cool, so. And then next. Now, I'm going to go through a couple of the questions that we usually have about our trip. Just briefly, I don't know how many people are interested in going down, but just so you know, the cost for the trip this year is $950 plus airfare, which so Sydney and I went down last year to work on the property and kind of scout out houses that we were gonna build for this year, but we did not have crews go down this year. And our flights were $750 a person, and they were last minute, because we didn't even know if we were gonna be able to go down because of the restrictions and everything last year. This year, I'm actually going down here in about a month to get the property finalized and everything, and do some bigger property maintenance stuff, which I am going to go into a little bit. But I think my flights were only $650, so it does vary, and summer's a bigger time for flights. But generally speaking, I would plan for about $1,700 total, and then any money that you wanted to bring down for souvenirs and stuff like that. I was able to bring back my brother a machete, which is kind of cool. I had to buy it at the vet's office though, because it's a tool down there, not a souvenir. So they kind of laughed at me when I asked for one, but that's okay. And then the hidden costs for the trip, a passport, if you don't have one, is $150 to $200. Travel insurance is something that we're requiring this year. We will talk to crew leaders and get that information to you of what travel insurance to get. It's actually for medical purposes. Mine was $42. We've had people who are 80 years old go down, and theirs is less than 100 still. So it's not much, and it covers you for $1 million evac. In case you are so sick that you need medical attention. Our medical insurance does not work down there, so you would be paying out of pocket, which is possible, but if with this travel insurance you pay $100, and if something were to happen, we can get you evac to the US where your medical insurance does work, and then we have no issues. And then it also covers $250,000 to $500,000 in medical expenses once you get back to the United States. It also covers things like if your baggage gets lost. You can get up to like $600 if your bag gets lost, which is, I mean, I might start doing that on all my trips because I didn't know about that, and that's very cool. So, and then the hammock and the bug net, each are, I don't know if it's each or together, it's about $50, but it's not bad. You can get the fancy Eno brand, but I think mine is just from Walmart, and it gets the job done. It's not hard to set up, and it isn't, it's nice enough. So for me, I don't care that much though. And then we usually have crews bring down supplies for the carnivals that we do. That usually just constitutes notebooks, coloring books, art supplies. If you wanted to bring down anything like activities, you're welcome to do that, but it's not anything extravagant by any means. We are gonna have to replenish our balloon supply, which I'll probably talk to my dad about, but we had like a ton, like a whole tub full of balloons, and while we worked down there for 3 years, they all melted together. So it's kind of useless now to even try because they just pop as soon as you try and blow them up, which sucks, but it's all right. And next, a lot of people ask about wildlife down there. There's not much, just insects, but it's not bad. Like if you go to Florida, it's gonna be significantly worse. And then they have lizards, but they only get to be about this big. And they do have kind of free-range cattle, but we don't really have to worry about that on the property, but like while we're driving and stuff, there will be like a herd just kind of walking through the street. And you just stay out of their way. They don't harm anything, but that's about it. They don't really, they have dogs and stuff running around. Nobody really owns dogs down there. They just kind of have them around. But there's no, big reptiles that we really have to deal with. There are some bigger spiders, but our big, strong team members are used to dealing with them, so we can take care of them, so you don't have to. But safety is a huge concern usually, especially for parents with kids going down. Like I said, with the property, we are very secluded, which is awesome. That way we don't have to really deal with locals coming onto our property. We have set the precedence that locals are not allowed on our property unless we directly invite them. And the only time that ever happens is if we work with them throughout the day, and we will usually give them dinner. And then after dinner, we might play a few games with them, but then we ask them to leave. That way we don't have them rummaging through bags. We don't have any issues with that. The worst thing that gets on our property usually is a stray cow from the property next door, and that's not even that bad. We do have a couple of dogs that are on the property, and they like to, rummage around, and if you leave your bags open, animals can get in there, but we just tell people to close their bags and everything's usually fine. We haven't really had any issues with it. On the job site, the communities that we work in know us and they know what we're there to do, and the majority of the community is kind of looking out for us. So even if we don't know someone who comes up, there's usually a local that'll come and say like, hey, that guy shouldn't be here, if they're not a respectable person. So we are able to kind of mitigate the risk that way. Obviously, there is the potential for getting hurt on the job site, but it's just like any construction site, and there's no power tools, it's all hand tools, so the risk is significantly less. Then eat and drink, I kind of went into that a little bit. We do drink mostly water. There are local shops that you can buy like pop and ice and stuff like that. Usually we have one person in the group who buys a bag of ice every day, so we can have cold water throughout the day, which is awesome. It's not that expensive, but it is very much needed when it's the middle of the day, the sun's right on top of you, you're sweating like crazy, and the ice is amazing. So, and then COVID safety, I know people are probably tired of hearing about it, but just so everybody knows, we do have, I would say, protocols in place if somebody does end up with severely symptomatic COVID. We do have the 2 shelter houses, and we don't plan on having 2 crews there at the same time. So if somebody is showing symptoms like that and we get them tested, which there are test facilities down there, we can get them tested. We can quarantine them in the other shelter house. I don't think there's any restrictions at this time for flying, even if you are symptomatic, which it might be better not to fly, but I know like Sydney and I will be down there the whole summer, 6 or 7 weeks. So if something were to happen, you needed to stay longer, we will be down there and able to be there with you, just to make sure that you're getting everything you need. We take care of food and all that stuff, so it's all taken care of. And then if it's really bad, again, the travel insurance takes care of getting you back into the States. So we don't have to worry about anything like that. So, and then, the last question that I don't have on here is, do we need to speak Spanish? No, you do not. I took 4 years of Spanish in high school, and I went down there, and it was like I had never heard the language before. It was like, it's useless, kind of. I had like a foundation, so I was able to pick out a word here or there, but conversationally, I was nothing. I'm getting there now, but you don't need to speak Spanish to be down there, because Sydney and I will be communicating with the families, we will be communicating with our property manager, who only speaks Spanish, unfortunately, so that was a fun trip last year, which we learned a lot of Spanish last year, though, so that was good. And we will also be communicating with the hardware stores and stuff like that to make sure we get materials. So you guys don't have to worry about any of that. If you do know Spanish, it's cool because then you can talk to the people more. But I know a lot of people still make an effort to communicate with them, and they don't even try to speak Spanish. They just point at things and give high fives and things like that, and that's usually enough to make them know that, we still care about them. So. And then I think I just have the last slide. Please stay in contact. I obviously am very passionate about this organization. I've been with them for a lot of years, and it's very exciting to see that it is starting back up. And I hope that you guys will join us down there this summer. If you are not able to, either physically or financially, we would love to stay in contact with you. There is a contact sheet in the, what's that called? I forgot. The narthex. I knew it was a weird word. I always forget it though. In the narthex on the card table that's out there, if you want to just stay in contact, it's just name, phone number, email, and then if you are interested in going on the trip, there's a separate sheet for that. And you can put your name on both or just one, whatever you want to do. And then there's also an offering plate back there if anyone's interested in donating to the organization to help us fund the property maintenance that we have to do this year as we start back up, or to help crews with their finances going down. We do have 3 or 4 crews set up already this year, so hopefully we can build at least 2 houses. I was hoping for 3, but I'm not sure at this point if it's going to happen. But 2 is better than none, for sure. And then if you are unable to make a donation today, you can reach us at thevillagemountainmission.org. You can get more information about the organization there. You can donate directly on the website. And you can set it up so that you can do a monthly donation if you're interested in doing so. And I think that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions? Do we have time for questions? I might have talked too long, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Michael. It's great to see you. It's great to see you doing this kind of work. A couple of things. In the short term, I talked to Michael a while ago. I'm not sure what our status will be as far as getting a crew down there. There's always those that are individuals that want to go down. That certainly is there. Short term, the mission and Michael and Sydney are on our prayer journal weekly. So keep them in your prayers for that. At certain points of the year, we will be giving through the Coins for Mission. We will be giving financial support over and above the free will offering today. So as you continue to put your Coins for Mission in there, remember that it's supporting organizations like this, which includes one of our own. And then our long-term future goal is to get small group, large group, whatever it may be. The cost is certainly something that we're going to look at how we do that as a church. But it is certainly something that we are planning and hoping for future mission outreach.
And I didn't want to get too much into it, but we do have fundraising opportunities, some examples of things that we have done in the past. I don't know if you guys have ever seen, but the big box that has like 50 squares in it, and it's numbered 1 to 50, and you just pick a box and you donate however much money is in the box. And I mean, the most that anyone would donate is $50, and it makes over $1,200, and that makes your trip much more feasible. So, and we have other examples of things that we've done in the past. If you're interested, we usually get into that in the second meeting. That way, we're not taking up everyone's time too much, just so you know.
So keep Michael and Sydney and the mission in your prayers. Keep the church as we continue to grow in our outreach, and try to find ways not only to reach locally, but to reach out globally as well. Thank you again, Michael. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. And I will be here for church, and I'll be back there afterward. I guess I talked too long to have questions, but if you do have questions, I'll be here in case you want to ask them then. So thank you again for having me and for supporting our organization. We really appreciate it. So.